Good evening and hello everyone. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of Team My Avatar and Team Avatar to the Diversity Mahotsav 2024. We are on day 14 of this megathon annual event. I'm Jayashree Jayaraman and I will be the host for this evening. As we begin, here are a few hygiene checks for a seamless virtual experience. Please close all other applications on your computer and log out from the organization's VPN to conserve the internet bandwidth. First, we would like to take this opportunity to thank our partners, the Innovation Catalyst, EPAM Systems, supporting partners, CRISIL, Genesis, Viaplus by Vinci Highways, and Zuki Systems. Our social media hashtags are hashtag Diversity Mahotsav and hashtag Celebrating Diversity. Feel free to post your experience at Diversity Mahotsav on your SM handles with the hashtags. I would also like to inform you that all the Diversity Mahotsav episodes are being live streamed on our YouTube channels. You can watch the Diversity Mahotsav live on YouTube. Click on the link that is pasted on the chat window. Also, please visit www.myavatar.com to explore various opportunities and activities that celebrate diversity. If you have not registered at myavatar.com, do log on to myavatar.com and register now. Browse through to find the jobs that might suit your skill sets, read articles of your interest, upskill yourself through various webinars conducted exclusively for you. My dear guest, welcome to the Diversity Mahotsav, where the spotlight shines not only on diversity, equity, and inclusion, but on the very essence of what it means to celebrate our human kaleidoscope. At Diversity Mahotsav, conversations will spark change and opportunities will redefine destinies. We at Avatar Group are turning the old age on diversity. Avatar is hosting its fourth edition of Diversity Mahotsav, a 15-day festival of sharing, learning, celebrating the uniqueness of every individual and carrying with us the promise of inclusion for the new year. Hosted on myavatar.com, India's number one diversity hiring portal is a one of its kind initiative. It aims to look for multi pronged strategies to explore the world of opportunities out there for diverse groups. Diverse in its approach with experiential sessions, success stories, and skill building workshops, it recognizes that one size doesn't fit all and that there is a need for different level of interventions. I once again welcome you all on behalf of Team Avatar, India's premier diversity, equity, and inclusion solution firm, and myavatar.com, India's only diversity hiring portal, to this Mahotsav. Let's celebrate ourselves. We are so excited to have you all here, a vibrant community of minds ready to tackle the challenges of diversity, equity, and inclusion in our educational spaces. This hackathon isn't just about coding or apps, it's about harnessing the power of imagination, empathy, and collaboration to build solutions that make our institutions truly inclusive for everyone. Diversithon is one of the events created as a part of Diversity Mahotsav. An entire month, we celebrate the diversity and uniqueness around us with immense learning and sharing done by thought leaders and role models in this area. So, today, as we all knew very evidently, that Generation Z, shortly called as Gen Z, is becoming more powerful source in shaping the future of diversity, equity, and inclusion. In an era where social justice, activism, and demand for systematic change are prominent, Gen Z's values, behaviors, and expectations are significantly influencing organizations, communities, and institutions in how they approach DEI. Here's a look at how Gen Z is playing a role in leveraging and advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion. That is precisely what will be unpacking in today's Diversithon with the theme of the role of Gen Z in leveraging diversity, equity, and inclusion. So now it's time to introduce our special jury for the day. We have Mehul Jain, the Senior Manager, EPAM System, So Mehul Jain is a strategic HR with 14 plus years of diverse experience across diverse HR domains and multicultural teams. She has extensive experience across all HR domains, HR engagements, talent management, leadership development, DEI, and talent acquisition. And next we have our own Amita Kashbekar, the principal strategist, LGBTQ plus practice. Amita has over 23 years of experience in the space of diversity, equity, and inclusion. For the past 11 years, she has worked with Deloitte and other major corporations. Amita also successfully positioned Deloitte among the top 10 companies for women in India. She has several years of experience leading and influencing all aspects of inclusion and HR policies as they relate to talent acquisition, retention, and advancement. Amita has rich experience contributing to gender, disability, cultural, generational, and holistic well being. All right, now let's move to the presentation, the most awaited presentation. Just a quick reminder, team. The time check. The allotted time for the presentation is going to be 8 minutes, after which you will get an alert from us, and 5 minutes for the Q&A session. So participants, you are requested to keep your response so very brief. Also note that you will be able to present once you're given the access to you for presenting when your turn comes. So with that note, I would like to call upon the first team DG Vaishnav College. We have with us Aparna BN, Sudipta, Amrita S, and the topic would be traditional, I'm sorry about that. Traditional curricula tend to often reflect a single perspective, which Gen Z students increasingly could perceive as inadequate in representing the diversity of voices and experiences in society. This lack of representation raises questions about inclusivity and the relevance of education in preparing students for multicultural and interconnected world. How can educational institutions evolve their curricula to betterly reflect diverse identities, foster inclusion, and prove a more holistic and equitable learning experience for all students? Yes, over to you, team.
Good evening to one and all present here. I am Aparna B, pursuing 1 MA HRM from DJ Vaishnav College. My two other teammates are Amrita S and Sudipta N. To start off, we are absolutely excited and grateful for being a part of this Diversathon by Avatar Groups. So the topic we have chosen for this presentation is number 3, which addresses the inadequacy of traditional curricula in addressing the diversity of voices and experiences in society from Gen Z's point of view. So the title of our presentation is Redefining Education, Gen Z's demand for an inclusive curriculum, which highlights the need for our education system to move beyond the one size fits all approach by redesigning the curriculum, ensuring that the upcoming generation is equipped with the skills and understanding to thrive in a multicultural and interconnected world. Uh,
Can you go on the presentation mode, please, students?
yeah, 1 second. So the table of our contents would include the introduction to our presentation, the objectives we'll be discussing, our research problems, our suggestions for the problems, the impact and conclusion. So over to Amrita.
Good evening. Am I visible?
You're
Good
audible.
evening.
Please go ahead.
You're audible but not visible.
Okay, just
Amrita, I suggest don't waste time on that. Please go ahead. Your time is your clock is
yeah.
ticking.
So I'll be introducing the topic of a presentation and how it is related to our suggestions. So as the world's becoming increasingly connected, traditional education faces a critical challenge in is preparing students for the multicultural realities of the 21st century. The traditional curricula often reflect very narrow perspectives, marginalizing very diverse voices and experience. This lack of presentation can leave Gen Z students feeling disconnected, unprepared, and unable to fully engage with the complexities of a globalized world. To address this, education must be reimagined to go beyond conventional framework, integrating cultural competency, empathy, and adaptability as the core pillars of learning. So now I'll be just introducing the objectives of the study. So for our suggestions, the first objective is to craft an inclusive curriculum that equips students with the skills to thrive in a global society and to foster a future where education universally champions diversity, equity, and inclusion, empowering, cultivating competent global citizens. Over to Aparna.
Next slide.
So we are
So we are
focusing on
focusing on
three
three
major
major
drawbacks
drawbacks
in
in
the
the
current
current
curriculum.
curriculum.
So
So
first
first
one would
one
be
would be
standardization
standardization over the globalization. So our Indian education system often prioritizes a standardized, uniform approach to learning, which often ignores the dynamic and globalized nature of our modern world. So this would include issues like following a uniform syllabi, where since though we have a diversified country which includes regional, cultural, and linguistic differences, we have only little room for inclusion of global educational systems, and there is only limited exposure skills for global workforce. So the second one would be exclusion of global perspectives. So the current curriculum often fails to integrate global viewpoints, limiting students' understanding of diverse cultures, economies, and political systems. So here again, the issues would be focusing on nationalism, where while fostering national pride is important, overemphasis is on sometimes leading to the exclusion of global achievements, perspectives, and intercultural narratives. And then we have underrepresentation of international contributions. Let's say for science and literature syllabi often highlight Indian scientists and authors, but fail to equally emphasize global figures, reducing students' exposure to diverse ideas. And then we have our outdated content. The content in subjects like political science often focuses on Cold War era geopolitics while neglecting contemporary global issues like climate changes, diplomacy, migration crisis, etc. And the third, we have the most important one, resistant to change, where resistance to updating traditional curricula is a significant barrier in our education system. This resistance often comes from various stakeholders, including policymakers, educators, and parents, who prefer to stick with the established norms. So this includes cultural reluctance, bureaucratic challenges, and the teachers' adaptation. Teachers often lacking training in new methodologies or inclusive teaching practices, etc. Next slide.
Okay, so here we have the suggestions or the proposals from our side to this course. So the first one would be to integrate social emotional learning into the Plural Voices curriculum, which enriches the experience by fostering empathy, self-awareness, and a deeper connection to the diverse perspectives. SEL, in short, social emotional learning, focuses the students to take up and empathize with other individuals from different backgrounds, cultivating social awareness through activities like researching and presenting marginalized voices or global stories. For example, students with disabilities often face stigma and isolation due to lack of awareness among peers and teachers. For example, bullying or exclusion of a student with autism or ADHD is a common issue in schools with no sensitization programs. So, social emotional learning plays an important uh, part to bridge the gap between exposure to diverse content and genuine understanding by fostering empathy, critical reflection, and self awareness. It helps students not only engage with multiple narratives but also question and move beyond monolithic worldviews, preparing them to thrive in a multicultural and interconnected society. This ensures that the education becomes more inclusive, relevant, and aligned with the expectations of a generation that values diversity and equity. The second thing that we have on the board is to promote multidisciplinary learning. So, the traditional curricula often focuses on isolated disciplines presenting a singular perspective that may fail to reflect diverse and interconnected realities of the world. This narrow approach can feel inadequate to Gen Z students who are growing up in a multicultural, globalized society where challenges and opportunities rarely fit neatly into one field of study. By contrast, a multidisciplinary approach enriches the learning experience by incorporating diverse voices and contexts, reflecting the real life world complexity, meeting Gen Z's expectation. For example, there was a study conducted based on the ethnic studies model curriculum introduced in California schools. This program integrates the histories, culture, and contributions of marginalized societies such as African Americans, Latinos, Asian members, and so on. Moving to Aparna.
So the
Third one would be
fostering
cultural competence.
So, cultural competence involves the ability to understand, communicate, and effectively interact with people across diverse cultures. So, for Gen Z, this is critical as they are the most ethnically and culturally diverse generation yet. So, this will promote empathy and understanding. For example, let's say schools can introduce case studies of global conflicts resolved through cultural understanding, such as peace efforts in South Africa post apartheid. And Gen Z values diversity in workplaces with 83% considering it an important factor in career decisions. The recent Deloitte Gen Z Survey 2022. For example, including courses on cultural competence can prepare students for international collaborations, enabling them to work effectively with diverse teams. So it also encourages critical thinking in students by studying multiple perspectives. Students develop their ability to critically analyze issues. Example, teaching about historical events like colonialism from both the colonialized and colonized perspectives enhances the understanding of global power dynamics. So, as per Statistics 2021, McKinsey report found that organizations prioritizing diversity outperform their peers by 36% in profitability.
1 minute
So
to go.
Okay, so the fourth one would be adding multilingual and accessible resources. So multilingual education and accessible resources cater to the linguistic and physical diversity of students, ensuring no one is left behind.
Now we'll be moving on to the impact of the study that we have done by incorporating social emotional learning, multidisciplinary approaches, and by improving the cross culture mechanism. So first, it enhances emotional intelligence, fosters critical thinking, promotes global citizenship, boosts cognitive skills, supports inclusive learning, and prepares students for real life challenges. By implementing these diverse and inclusive educational approaches, which leads to enhanced emotional intelligence and cognitive skills, students develop empathy, cultural sensitivity, and the ability to think critically. Promotion of global citizenship cultivates awareness and respect for diverse perspectives, fostering collaboration in a multicultural world, and preparation for real life challenges, which equip students with adaptability and problem solving skills essential for dynamic global environments. Concluding,
So to
So to
conclude,
conclude,
we saying to prepare Generation Z for a diverse and interconnected world, the education system must evolve to prioritize diversity, equity, and inclusion. So the traditional curricula often fail to reflect the multicultural realities of today, leaving students ill-equipped for the challenges for a globalized society. So by fostering cultural competence, incorporating multilingual and accessible resources, and addressing systematic gaps, we can build an education system that empowers students to be empathetic, inclusive, and globally aware citizens. While challenges such as resistance to change and resource limitations may arise, the benefits of reimagining curricula far outweigh the obstacles. This transformation is not just about academic success, it's about creating a society that values equity, embraces diversity, and thrives on collaboration. Together, we can ensure that education becomes a tool for progress, unity, and social harmony, shaping a brighter and more inclusive future for all. Thank you for your time and attention. Over to the panel for questions.
Thank you so much, DG Vaishnav. And over to you, jury, for the Q&A, please.
Mehul, I have a question for the group. May I go ahead?
Yes, please,
Yes,
Amita,
ma'am.
please.
Yeah, thanks. So team, well done. I liked your framework. You talked about multidisciplinary approaches, social emotional learning, fostering cultural competence, and multilingual. My question to you is, we all talk about enhancing empathy, and Gen Z, I know, is very focused on that. Can you call out, or can you speak a little bit about how can empathy be enhanced in an organization or in an academic institution? Just give me your top two suggestions or even one suggestion.
Active listening.
Ma'am,
I would say
Speak up.
training, like providing sensitization training.
for both the trainers and the students, so they don't go on bullying about the people who have the problem of let's say if they are challenged or if they have any inability. So sensitivity training would be one of the most approachable thing to incorporate in education systems.
Okay. Thanks. If there's a follow-up, I'll ask later. Mehul, over to you.
Thank you so much, Amita, and thank you so much, for such a great presentation and, coming up with a strong framework here. I'm sure we need a change, in the educational system, definitely. I think we were talking more from a representation front, the diverse representation that we are looking for, within the educational setup as well. How do you think while we do these learnings, we implement a lot of awareness? How do you think we can increase the representation from different diverse groups within the educational system and have a ecosystem created for them within those educational systems for people coming in, maybe, from LGBTQ plus community or people coming in with disabilities can still, be in the same group, feel inclusive, in the educational institution. So maybe one suggestion that you might have to create that kind of an inclusive environment for them in the educational system and have a better representation.
Ma'am, thank you for the question. So, this should start from the grassroots level. I think from schools, we often see representations of whites and people who are fair skin on all our textbooks, on all our study materials that we have. I would say people to have the curriculum to have diverse people from diverse background to have on their textbooks, so that young children, the future, can see who the real people are around the world, and they can grow up knowing that there are people with differences, there are people who have a difference of opinion, and to encourage sessions in schools or colleges, and to create awareness through those programs where they talk about how equity is important than equality, and to emphasize on for example, providing ramps for those who are disabled is not something that we are providing them out of a charity, or maybe that is what they really need. So I would say I would suggest these ways to incorporate in our curriculum for people from other backgrounds of students to know what people are around us.
Sure, thank you so much. Back to you, Amita, in case if you have a follow-up.
Yeah. No, it's okay. Thank you very much for the presentation and congratulations to the team.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
We'll just, LV, can we just take 30 seconds to, fill up the form here?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay,
Alright.
I'm done. Mehul, if you need more time, let them know.
I think I'm done.
Yeah, okay, great.
Thank you, Mehul, and thank you, Amita. And thank you, DG Vaishnava, for the wonderful, presentation. Once again, thank you, team. And now I would like to call upon Dwaraka Das, Govardhan Das, Vaishnav College, and we have Aishwarya S, Siddhi Sharma, and Ramya. The topic is how can a comprehensive playbook for appropriate and inclusive behavior be developed to make college campuses safer and more inclusive. The playbook should outline clear and actionable practices for both staff and students, ensuring that every individual feels valued, respected, and a true sense of belonging within the campus community. And over to you, team.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for giving this opportunity. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you
Yes, you
are.
are. Please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for giving this opportunity. And our topic would be how a comprehensive playbook for inclusive behavior be developed to make college campus be safer and more inclusive. So, first, when coming to the research problem, so colleges face challenges or barriers. For creating fair and inclusive environment, these barriers would be the biases, yes, more specifically the hidden biases and discrimination, and unfortunately even from diverse leaders in the top roles. And next would be the unequal access to resources and opportunities for underrepresented groups. Who are these underrepresented groups? Means had who had less access to education. For example, the racial and ethical minorities, even from the LGBTQ community, and even from the people from low income backgrounds. So better policies are needed for ever long lasting improvements. So when next coming to the introduction part, that an inclusive campus make sure that everyone is treated with dignity. Inclusive campus, so here the inclusive campus denotes the fair chances and meaningful engagement for everyone, and it is the duty of all staff administrators to be more inclusive. So next part session would be followed by Aishwarya.
So the next is about the abstract. So this study, it focuses on developing a playbook to enhance the diversity, equity, and inclusion in college campuses. So we also outline certain strategies such as inclusion training and clear code of conduct and accessible infrastructure and support systems. This also ensures fairness and it also improves the campus life and it prepares students for diverse environments in corporate world. So the main aim is that we are going to be creating a comprehensive guide, which is going to be including the DEI strategic initiatives. And the objectives of the playbook is it is to establish a respectful and inclusive campus through strategic actions. And we are also going to be providing staff and students with training on inclusion and clear code of conduct, and also reliable support systems to ensure accessible infrastructure for all. And the last one is we are also going to be aiming to promote the diversity and equity inclusion through the events and campus awareness programs. The next is followed by Siddhi.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'll be taking over the key components of our playbook. The first one would be the foundational principle, which includes the mission statement highlighting a commitment to foster diversity, equity, and inclusiveness. Also, regular cultural training sessions should be undertaken to improve understanding and encourage inclusiveness. The second one would be defining and addressing inappropriate behavior. So, again, it is very important to clearly define unacceptable or inappropriate behavior, including the harassment and discrimination. Second one would be promoting inclusive language, and then encouraging safe intervention whenever someone is witnessing an inappropriate conduct. The third key component would be fostering inclusive learning environment, which includes integrating diverse perspectives into academic programs and using various teaching strategies to support the different needs of the individuals. The next one would be support services and resources. So support services and resources includes providing confidential mental health support, providing tutoring, academic support, and career counseling. The fifth one would be accountability and consequences. So, again, implementing a fair process for investigating complaints and enforcing penalties for breach of any conduct. The sixth key component is celebrating diversity and inclusion, which includes organizing events that celebrate diverse backgrounds, cultivating a campus culture which prioritizes DEI, continuous improvement. So regular assessment is should be undertaken to evaluate the effectiveness of the playbook, establishing a feedback mechanism, which is getting the feedback regularly from the faculties as well as the students, and reviewing the playbook whenever and as needed. So, I would like to conclude by saying that this research emphasizes on strategies to foster an inclusive and equitable campus environment through proactive initiatives. And also, ultimately, inclusivity is a collective responsibility that requires sustained efforts to create an environment where diversity is celebrated and inclusion is practiced. Thank you.
Thank you so much, DG Vaishnava. Once again, that was a wonderful presentation. And now it's over to the juries for their questions. Team, probably you all can come on the camera. Yeah, thank you.
Yep. So, team two, wonderful and very crisply done. And again, the framework is what I'm focusing on. So foundational principles, inappropriate behavior, inclusive language, etc. I think you covered pretty much all the aspects that I believe should be in a playbook. However, can you speak a little bit about currently what kind of inclusive language, or rather under the category of inclusive language, can you tell me a little bit what you see as the problem areas? What are some of the concerns around language that you currently see that you want to be calling out in the playbook as an enhancement for your culture?
Multilingualistic.
You can take 30 seconds to think or ask your teammates, whatever. It's okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So the concern which we see in today's world would be a multilingual problem. That is, all the resources are not available in all the languages, and they are not friendly for the specially abled people. So I think the resources should be available in maximum languages as possible, and they should also be friendly for specially abled persons.
Got it. Got it. Okay, sure. Mehul, over to
Yeah, thank you again. I think I wish, this kind of a playbook can be implemented across, all colleges, in the current times. I just have one quick thing, and as Amita said, I think you have everything, that should ideally be in a playbook, to make this as an inclusive, we call it workplace. It's more of an educational place that we can, make it more inclusive. Just one thing that I had, and maybe I just want to know your thoughts around it, that do you think just having a playbook with all this included there will make it inclusive? Or do you think that we would need something beyond this, beyond the playbook? Again, maybe take your time in case if you want to, just discuss it within the team and then.
Sure, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So the playbook alone is insufficient. So the action is going to be the main key. So inclusion is not about just about having policies, but it's about implementing them in day-to-day actions also. So we should give awareness and training to people, and people need to be educated on DEI principles to ensure that they understand and they actively adopt the inclusive practices. And also, there should be a system of accountability. Without mechanisms to monitor and enforce DEI, a playbook it is going to be remaining an insufficient one. And it also includes participation of students, faculty, and all the stakeholders of the campus as a whole.
Sure. Thank you so much, Ashwarya. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, folks. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, just requesting about 30 seconds for.
You can go ahead, please.
Thank you.
In the meantime, I would like to call upon the next team so that they will be all set for the presentation. So now I would like to go and call out Vivekananda Educational Society's Institution of Management, Mumbai. And we have, just give me a minute. Team, just give me a minute. Yeah. And we have Arpita Maikar, Chanchal Mandani, and Alka Mandani. And their topic is how can a comprehensive playbook for appropriate and inclusive behavior for development be developed to make college campus safer and more inclusive. The playbook should outline clear and actionable practices for both staff and students, ensuring that every individual feels valued, respected, and true sense of belonging within the campus community. Over to you, team. I would like to request you all to come on the camera also, please. Arpita, Chanchal, and Alka.
Ma'am, can I share my screen?
Yes, you can go ahead and do it.
Okay.
Yes, please go ahead, team.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are from Vivekananda Education Society's Institute of Management, and our topic for today is developing a comprehensive playbook for inclusive and safe college campus. So basically, we know that universities bring together people of different background, which enriches campus life. And also they bring issues like bias, microaggressions, and discrimination. So our goal is to structure policies and strategies to ensure safety, respect, and inclusivity for all of them. Now we'll see the objectives, so hand over to Chanchal.
Okay, so the first objective is to study the challenges in inclusivity and safety at college campus. In this, in this we'll look at the challenges that the institute face. For example, biasness, discrimination, harassment, and many more things. And the second objective is to suggest the best possible practices for inclusivity, behavior, and safe environment. So, the literature review. In literature review, we have so the paper was based on the secondary data. So, in literature review, the first one, inclusivity enhances educational success, personal growth, and social harmony. In this, in this, as we can see that inclusivity enhances the educational success, personal growth, and by adapting this playbook, there will be more personal growth. And the common obstacles that comes in this are microaggressions, discriminations, and harassment, and the structural injustice. Methodology, over to you, Alka.
So we have used secondary data analysis, as Chanchal said. So for this, we have used scholarly articles, institutional reports, and case studies. Findings, elements of the playbook, policy and governance. So policy and governance, zero tolerance policies and inclusive committees, education training, mandatory workshops and curriculum integration, community engagement, dialogue programs and mentorship initiatives, support system, accessible reporting mechanisms and counseling services, physical and digital safety, safe places, and online moderations. suggestions will you
So
have?
these are the few suggestions we would like to give to engage the students and staff in creating a playbook and to implement the pilot programs and use the focus or survey groups and take the feedback from the students and spread the awareness through training and giving the seminars to the students and to sorry and to create a gender neutral prayer rooms and ensure the friendly infrastructure so that the institute would be safe place for everyone and to include the ethics and social justice in the college curriculum so that everyone would learn and apply them for this initiative and to give some rewards those who make efforts for this to enhance this inclusivity and safety. uh, Conclusion.
So by this we'll conclude that for the importance of playbook. Now, the well-designed playbook is essential to foster respectful, inclusive, and safe college campus. And by addressing these challenges, we'll overcome with the intentional and collaborative efforts. This is a long-term vision, so the playbook is not only for enhancing college life but also prepare students to navigate and contribute to a diverse world, and it will be the future research. So that's it from our side. Thank you.
These are the few references we have taken from which we have taken the reference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, team. And now for the wonderful presentation. And now over to you, Amita and Mehul, for the questions.
Just a minute.
Yes.
I just want to come on camera. 1 second. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Mehul, you want to go first?
Yeah, maybe I'll go first. So thank you, Chanchal, Jayashree, for the wonderful presentation. So my first my first thought, when I looked at your presentation, you both have done a lot of research and study in terms of, understanding a lot of concepts and what is something that could be applied, to make the educational campuses more exclusive. Any one of you, if you could tell me one one instance that you would have seen in your college where you felt that, maybe, this is one example practically that I have seen, and had this playbook been in place, it would have solved or it would have helped us to have an inclusive environment. So I'm just trying to understand if you have observed anything around you and you would want to share that example with us.
um Ma'am, can you please give us 30 seconds so that we can discuss?
Sure, please.
So I would like to tell you that there was this international disability conference in our college. So there were many disabled people that they came in our college, and few of um, few of my colleagues. So they were like making fun of them. So this was the incident I saw.
Okay, and how would your playbook would have helped in this scenario?
Um, by this playbook we can teach them like how they can change their mentality of thinking that they are disabled and we are not, um, by understanding that we have got many things and they don't have even small or little things with them, but still they are managing and they are good at everything. um,
Okay, sure. Just one quick more question, and then I'll pass it on to Amita. And this is not, related to the project, but then I was, a little curious. There are three people I understand, who have participated as part of the project. It's Chanchal, Alka, and Arpita. Is the
Yes.
third one not today here as part of your
No.
present? Okay, 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 okay. Thank you. Over to you, Amita.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks, Mehul. So, team three, Chanchal, Arpita, and Jayashree. So, thank you for the
It's
present.
Alka. Ma'am, it's Alka.
Sorry, my
Amrita,
apologies, Alka.
Jayashree, I'm the MC today.
Sorry, my apologies.
No worries.
Um, I'll be honest with you folks. Um, from your presentation, I know clearly you did some research and did some work on this, but it wasn't very clear to me through your presentation, what will your playbook call out in order to create a safer environment? I would have liked to see a little more of actionables, process driven, perhaps, calling out who responsibility and ownership would rest with whom, and what would be the consequences for inappropriate behavior. A little more thought in this would have really enhanced your project and your presentation. Having said that, I applaud you for going down this path and thing. And I also want to leave all of you, not just your team, but I'm hoping that the other teams are still listening in. Is there anything that you feel that prevents you from bringing some of this to life? Do you think you can initiate some of this already in your academic institutions, or you feel there are roadblocks which you will need to address?
Ma'am, we can bring it to our curriculums. Like as I said, that we can bring ethics and social justice to the curriculum, so that students will understand about this, that this all is just normal. Um,
What? Okay, sorry, maybe I missed it. What is normal?
like
It's okay. It's okay. And the other thing, anyway, excuse me, overarching feedback I'll provide at the end, but I do congratulate you all for putting in some effort in, giving it. It's just that I feel for your presentation, if you all could have put in a little more detailing, it would have enhanced your presentation enormously. Mehul,
yes,
did you get
sure.
that sense?
Yeah, I agree, with what Amita is saying. I think that the research was definitely very deep that you did. I'm sure you went through, a lot of information. But exactly culling out and bringing clarity, with respect to how exactly the playbook, should be looking like, or what are, and that's the reason I was talking about a practical example, so when you start looking around you, and again, this is something for the entire audience here. While we will keep doing, these case studies and projects, it's always important that we need to look around us, and see that are we able to relate these concepts, to the experiences that we have, around us, and then how do we implement some of it that we are proposing as an idea, in the, practical life that we are leading. So I think that relationship will bring more clarity, and that could have maybe brought, I mean, you could have brought it in this, presentation. But having said that, it's a starting point for all of you. I'm sure you will, grow further from here, and there is no end to this. But you have already taken that step forward to really understand from a lot of research that you have done. And it's more about, you being clear about it, that how does it really apply in the practical world, and then take it forward from there.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, team, and thank you, Mehul, and thank you, Amita, for those wonderful inputs. So, next, the fourth team, I would like to call upon Vivekananda Educational Society's Institute of Management. We have Kashish Kareda, Gungun Valbani, Kashish Takrani. And the topic remains the same. How can a comprehensive playbook for appropriate and inclusive behavior be developed to make college campuses safer and more inclusive? The playbook should outline clear and actionable practices for both staff and students, ensuring that every individual feels valued, respected, and true sense of belonging within the campus community. And over to you, team, requesting you all to come on the camera, please. Yes, we are able to see you. Probably you can start.
Just I'm sharing that PPT.
Yeah, please go ahead and share.
Share. Screen.
Team, would you want us to share the screen? We can do it. We have your presentation with us. That will help us save time.
SLV, probably that helps.
Yeah. Shall we do that, team? Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, please. Okay, so coming on the introduction. Good morning, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity. So, in today's world, rapidly evolving workplace diversity, equity, and inclusion are no longer just corporate buzzwords, but it's essential components of organizational success. This research focuses on Generation Z, the newest and most diverse generation entering the workforce. Known for their strong social values and exceptions of equity, Generation Z is reshaping how organization approach diversity, equity, and inclusion. So, our study delves into understanding how Generation Z defines DEI, their expectation from employees, the impact of their DEI values on workforce innovation and strategies. Organization can adopt the effectively engage this dynamic talent pool. By exploring these dimensions, we aim to provide insights into creating workplaces that are inclusive and aligned with the values of this generation, ensuring both employee satisfaction and organizational growth. Over to Gungun, objectives of.
So, good afternoon, everyone. I will speak about the research objectives. The paper mainly focuses on the understanding Gen Z's definition of DEI. We always focus on the diversity, equity, and inclusion that has a different concepts separately. The second objective is that exploring their expectations. We aim to uncover the Gen Z's seeks from organization in terms of DEI and practices. Third objective of our research is examining DEI's impact, what impact it gets on the Gen Z's influence, organization culture, and innovations. And the last objective we have focused on is identifying actionable strategies. Finally, we propose strategies for organizing to effective engage to retain Gen Z's talent in and DEI. Further, Kashish will continue with the literature review.
Okay, so coming on the literature review, the concept of diversity, equity, and inclusion has evolved significantly in recent years. So, studies emphasize that DEI is not just a moral imperative but a business strategy. According to the research by McKinsey and Company in 2023, organization with diverse leadership teams are 36% more likely to outperform the peers in profitability. This reinforces the idea of DEI fosters the innovation and decision making through diverse perspective. For Generation Z, DEI is deeply personal. A study by Deloitte 2022 highlights this: 75% of Generation Z employees consider that DEI as a critical factor in their job search, reflecting the generation that values belonging and fairness. Additionally, Harvard Business Review of 2021 points out that inclusive environments significantly improve employees' engagement and retention, especially among younger generations. Research also shows that Generation Z has a broader interpretation of DEI, incorporating aspects as a mental health, environmental justice, and intersectionally into the conversation. This underscores the need of organization to expand their traditional DEI frameworks to meet Generation Z's expectations. Coming to the conclusion,
So next up we have conclusion. So I would like to conclude the paper with the DEI is not just a moral obligations but a strategy necessity for obligations aiming to attract and retain Gen Z's talent. Gen Z's expect workplace to reflect their values, prioritize fairness, inclusivity, and opportunities for all. Organizations that embrace these principles will foster a culture of innovation, collaboration, and trust. Moreover, adopting inclusivity strategies can enhance employee satisfaction, and strengthen brand reputations. Nowadays, Gen Z is also focused on the equity and inclusion part. Our suggestion to the Gen Zs would be establishing transparent DEI policies and metrics to the measure policies in an organization so that nobody should be left out. Innovate involves Gen Z's employees in shaping DEI initiatives for authentic alignment, focusing on mentorship and career development programs to promote equity in the opportunities so that everyone could grow and develop a relationship with each other. Prioritizing the DEI organization can build resilience and future ready for workforces that thrive in an increasingly diverse workforce.
concluding on this point, we thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, team. And I would like to, hand over to Amita and Mehul for their questions.
Okay, sorry about the question I'm going to ask you. Please, once again, help me understand what was the objective of your study? Or what was the objective of the project that was assigned to you?
Ma'am, to like Generation Z should equalize in the organization may they should not create a different environment for the people who are disabled. There should be equity. The gap should be covered between.
Okay, sorry, I'm still struggling. Was the goal of your presentation to make recommendations what Gen Z can do differently? Or was your goal to create a playbook? Or was your goal to see how Gen Z can contribute to enhancing a DEI? Which of these three would you say was your goal?
The last one, ma'am.
Gen Z's.
Okay. So Gungun and Kashish, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Congratulations. Is this your first presentation that you have done in any public platform?
Yes, ma'am. This is our first research paper. As such, presentations we have given before also, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, great. I kind of struggled a little bit to connect the dots while you were speaking, and I wasn't sure whether you were entirely addressing the making recommendations that would, help you meet your goal. But having said that, I do want to congratulate you on your commitment, on your sincerity. Clearly, both of you are, at least the two of you who are on camera right now, and I don't know how many others went into collaborated with you to put it together, but I can see your sincerity, your commitment there. Just a little bit more of calling out even the presentation style on your slides. It was just way too much for us to keep abreast with what you were saying. Making it more, uh, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 would have helped retention. It would have helped grasping even for the audience. So these are some of my recommendations, and I'm going to let Mehul sort of call out whatever she thought.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you, team. I think quite a, I would definitely want to appreciate you for the efforts that you have put in to bring up, your thoughts, to put across, what you learned from, what you read and what you went through. I echo with what Amita, mentioned. I had few of the points very similar to what, she brought in. The only thing that I would say is that every presentation that you do is definitely a learning. You have some learnings from here. The sooner that you apply them, in the next one that you do, the more successful that you would be. So I would request you to take every opportunity as a learning, learn from what maybe the recommendations are coming in from this discussion, and certainly remember them, make a note of it and apply it in the next one that you're doing. This was a great start, a great attempt, but I'm sure whatever that you heard from Amita, if you apply that for the next the next project that you're doing, I'm sure you will achieve great heights. But thank you so much for the effort, for coming here. It takes a lot of courage to put together, to come forward, to be on the screen. We learned it really late in our journey, and when I see young people like you who have who are there in your career, very early in your career, and you're bringing up your courage, your efforts here, hats off to both of you. So thank you so much, but
Thank you so
certainly,
much, ma'am.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, absolutely. I echo what Mehul said. Go back from this feeling more upbeat. This is not hopefully none of this will make you, feel dejected in any way, but speak with passion, have clarity of thought. In presentation style, try to make it 1, 2, 3, 4 versus generically clubbing many points of view and many perspectives. So these are some of the things that I'd love for you to think about, and I know that you'll only grow from strength to strength.
Thank you so much for your point, ma'am. We'll consider it from the next time.
Okay, sure. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amita and Mehul, for your inputs, and especially speak with passion. That was really, striking. Yes, thank you, team. I know Vivekananda Educational Institute for your wonderful presentation. And now we have the last but not the least. Yes, I would like to call upon Xavier Institute of Management and Entrepreneurship, Chennai. We have Pranish RR, Kirti M, Kartikeya Dev, Paromita Sadhu, and Rashmika Gupta. And the topic goes as corporates increasingly prioritize diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, there is a growing need for educational institutions to align with this vision by fostering inclusive environments. What interventions, policies, and practices can educational institutions adopt to nurture diversity, promote equity, and create a sense of belonging, thereby preparing students to thrive in a more inclusive corporate landscape? Over to you, Xavier team.
Good evening to everyone. So I would like to share my slide. Good evening, panel members. This is our team from Sign. My name is Parumita. I'm from West Bengal. This is Kirti from Kerala. This is Rashmika from Uttar Pradesh. This is Pranesh and Kartikya from Tamil Nadu. So this is our team consisting of diversity, and we will be talking about diversity on the foregoing slides. So our topic is DEI for all, the role of Gen Zs in leveraging diversity, equity, and inclusion. So, have we ever wondered, like, how many people have lost their opportunity just because of their lack of equity or inclusion in a company? I think the answer is a lot of people. So let us come into the points which we have in the slides, that is diversity, equity, and inclusion. What does it talk about? It talks about the diversity, which is of the people we are with. Diversity includes the religion, it includes the transgender, it includes the people around us. It is not only about a company or an institution, it is all around the world. Over here, we have a diversity in the environment. Same, if I go forward with the equity, what is equity? In policy and practice and position. So it is something where people are given equal opportunity to work with. If, for an example, I'm talking about a child coming from a backward society, he doesn't have that much of experience or monetary help to come up. Therefore, the company or the educational institution give an equal opportunity by the quota system to get into their industries. Next, I'll talk about the inclusion. Inclusion is about how much we are inclusive in nature. If we are talking about
Team,
educational.
team, sorry to break the flow. Sorry. If you're sharing your presentation, we are unable to see it. If you could bring up the presentation, it would be helpful, please.
Okay. One second. Yeah, that's good. Sure. Yeah, is it visible now?
No, we are not able to. We are able to see only the Zoom screen.
Yeah, one second. Is it visible now?
Yes, probably you can go on the slide sharing mode.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, please.
So if we talk about the inclusion, so what does inclusion means? Inclusion means how inclusive we are with our people, how much including we are with others in a group of people. Moving to the next slide, how does DEI impact the workplace? A workplace, if I give an example of TCS, it's a workplace consisting of various other categories like handicapped, LGBTQ, gender diversity, and etc. So it increases the profits and grows a company's market by more sort of innovations and with a proper flow of work. It also reduces the employee turnover, grows a company's talent pool. As I already mentioned, it diversifies their community with girls, boys, or women, and they also give an equal chance for the women to grow. How? For an example, in TCS, they give a sabbatical leave so that more girl or a more female employee can work on it, or a more girl who is going to get married are included on it. Fosters creativity and innovation. If we lose no more people out, we will get more ideas from them to innovate in the future. It drives the employee productivity and performance as well. Going forward, what are the industries we are talking about? We are talking about IT, healthcare, and finance sector. So IT sector has one of the most inclusive and equity based of industry. Like it has a 33% increase in the innovation revenue. It's because of the tendency or the nature of the industry, how they develop DEI into them. Next, I come to inclusion. Healthcare. Healthcare is an inclusive leadership healthcare facilities leads to a 20% reduction in the turnover rate. Like it includes more doctors, more research oriented researchers to the healthcare system. After the COVID 2019, it is one of the important industry in the whole world. Next, I come to the finance. Finance DEI focused firms, it increased 15% in the client satisfaction and 18% increase in the overall product development.
So now I'm going to talk about the scopes that we have had while beginning this research. So while starting this research, we had few scopes to explore. The first one was to have a comparative analysis between three generations. We have taken Gen X, Gen Y, that is millennials, and we have compared it with Gen Z. So while comparing these things, we have taken the psychological aspects and their attitudes into account. So this was the first scope. The second one was to examine the key examination of key industries. After examining the psychology and attitudes, we were interested to know how it is being applied in real time. So we examined few industries like Paramita mentioned, IT, finance, and healthcare. So this was the second scope. The third scope of the study is to have a data-driven insights on how their psychology and the productivity of companies are correlated. This was the third scope. And finally, we were thinking to recommend businesses with these generational insights and recommend some of the steps that they can adapt to enhance their performance. Now, my teammate will explain the methodologies that we have adopted for the study.
Coming to the methodology that we have adopted, we started from data collection, majorly from primary data collection. That is, we made a convenient sampling technique, and we also got more insights by doing snowball techniques also. And coming to secondary data analysis, we reviewed several books such as McKinsey's book on how inclusion matters, and also Harvard Business Reviews were done. And then coming to the analysis of tools, like we did two types of analysis: one is statistical and qualitative analysis. And the key parameters assessed were awareness and understanding of DEI and engagement in DEI initiatives, perceived impact of DEI to the workspace culture and performance, and industry-specific metrics linking to DEI to organizational outcomes. Next one. Next one, parameter. Data points. These are the data points that we have done till now, such as awareness of DEI concepts, active participation in DEI initiatives, and sector-specific insights, in which general analysis of DEI perceptions were done, and key findings on DEI and Gen Z's role were taken out. Next one. Yeah. So a generational analysis of DEI perceptions, such as generational trends, industry-specific trends, and business impact of how DEI affects, and also the key findings such as gender differences, business growth, sector-specific benefits are also carried out.
Now, moving on to the most prominent part of a research paper, that is data analysis. Now, the first thing that we are going to focus on is on awareness and engagement. We are comparing the three generations, that is Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z. So we can see that awareness of DEI concepts in Gen Z is 92% as compared to the cohort generations. Even though people were aware of the fact, like there were active participation in DI by Gen Zs, people of Gen X and Gen Zs were aware of DI concept, but then also there was not active participation by Gen X and Gen Zs. And the business benefits that are perceived by Gen Z is more than Gen X and Gen Y. Okay. So as Paramita has already told you that we have taken three different industries, that is IT, healthcare, and finance.
So we are going to talk about the DEI impact and its relation to performance metrics. So DEI impact in IT sectors has improved innovation through diversity. It has increased 33%. The revenue has increased by 33% in IT because of the innovation through diversity. In healthcare sector, there were inclusive teams that has reduced the turnover. The turnover has reduced by 20%. And in finance sector, diverse leadership improves client trust, and 15% of client dissatisfaction has also reduced. Now Kirti will continue.
Now I'll go through the industrial insights. We are actually going through the IT sector, healthcare, and finance, as we have already discussed. So from these tabular columns, we can understand that in the IT sector, the companies which have high DEI have increased their innovation revenue to 33%, and team collaboration is also increased to 25%. As my co-researcher already explained about the TCS, how inclusive they are. They have included diversity in their companies. And now when we go through the healthcare sector, we can see that the inclusive leadership actually reduced the turnover rate reduction to 20%. And the most important factor in the healthcare sector, which is the patient care improvement, which has increased to 15%. And when we come to the finance sector, we can see that the client satisfaction index has been increased to 15% when DEI forced firms are doing the work. And also the inclusive product development rate is being increased to 18%. Now, when we go into detail, if DEI is active, the retention rate is 89% and employee satisfaction is 90%. And when it is compared to a non-DEI active company, it is 74%. The retention rate is 74% and employee satisfaction is 65%. The companies such as TCS and Harley Davidson is actually implementing more DEI initiatives. They are having cultural inclusivity, gender diversity in their companies. And now I would like to invite Paramita to do the conclusion part.
So, as we are also a part of Gen Z, so I would like to conclude in a bit different way. I would like to introduce my Zine culture into it. Zine has different types of this diversity, equity, and inclusion in its policies. They do the admission process with recording of diversity. They have a certain portion of amount which have to be given to the girls, and it also implements with hostel allocation of the rooms. Like rooms are allocated as per to the diversity. Someone
Time up, team.
Okay. Okay. So we would like to wrap it up. Like in our institution, we are also following the diversity and equity as well as inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Team Xavier, for the wonderful presentation. And over to you, Amita and Mehul, for the questions.
Please go ahead. I'm just trying to connect the dots here.
Okay, so the thing is, our college has a very diverse policy. It gives roommates according to North Indians and South Indians. They do not prefer same diverse group into one single room. They also prefer with admission process, like they take certain amount of portion for girls only, as well as they have certain committees who do the like counseling sort of things for the students so that student feels inclusive into the community. That's all.
Okay, maybe I'll go ahead, Amita. So thank you, team. From your presentation, the style that you brought in, the diversity that you have here, on the screen that we can see, we are happy to see that, at least you could bring that diversity in the team here. Your presentation skill, I appreciate you for that. I think one question that I would have, and maybe, maybe I have not been able to understand, but I think the question or the ask from, this presentation was that what interventions, policies, practices can educational institutions, adopt? So primarily it was about what is that you could bring in your presentation that educational institutions can adopt in order to nurture or promote this kind, the culture that we're talking about, the diverse inclusive culture in the educational setup. I know that you all did a lot of research, you brought in a lot of inputs, how it's helping the corporate. I think that was an assumption or a given statement which was already taken, that yes, it is helping the corporates. Yes, this is the focus for the corporates. What we can do better in the educational setup in itself, so that when we are recruiting, that the corporates are recruiting people from the educational institutes, that culture, that belongingness, that inclusivity, that awareness about these concepts is already there in our people, in the students when they come into the corporate culture, and it's easy for them to adapt and maybe bring in more diversity and inclusivity. So just want to understand from all of you that does this bring clarity with respect to what the ask was, and does that relate to what we what maybe you brought it here in the presentation?
So the main reason for selecting these sectors are that we took this as a precondition. Like there is a generational understanding, and the people are understanding DEI more. Gen Z people are understanding PGA more, DEI more. So we thought of understanding how does it impact in businesses. How much difference does it bring to the various industrial sectors. So that we have done these three sectors to understand how does it impact in real time. That was the reason.
Also, in addition to Pranesh, I would like to add, like in our XIME, there are a lot of industries coming in. And for an example, manufacturing industries, because we are located in a manufacturing area. So a lot of manufacturing industries are coming in, a lot of IT industries are coming in. So we need to understand their policies, their set of DEI to incorporate our DEI to them. That's why we chose these sectors like healthcare sectors or IT sectors to understand our linkage between the two.
I understand that. So I'll just complete and maybe pass it on to Amita as well. The crux, that we were looking at from what is that you will implement in an educational setup, while you could have related that, to the research that you brought in. I think that got missing. The weightage was more on the interventions, the practices, the policies that you will bring in an educational setup. Obviously, the linkage could have been there from all these three sectors that you did a research, but I feel that that could have brought an answer to what we were looking at from this presentation. But again, having said that, I understand, where you are coming from and, what you were trying to bring in, and good research. I'm sure this will help you further develop upon, some of the interventions that you would want to, do it within your educational setup. To you, Amita.
Thank you, Mehul. Team, congratulations for all the right reasons that Mehul called out for diversity, your focus on, being mindful of diversity, of inclusion, and the research you did. So I'm completely in agreement with that. In fact, one of the striking things about your presentation to me as well was that I'm not sure it fully addressed what was being asked of the team, which is, can you suggest some interventions, policies, or practices that would enhance sense equity, belonging, and diversity? So while you quoted, sorry, who is the person who started and concluded the presentation?
This is me, Parumita.
Sorry?
Parumita.
Parumita. Parumita, in your opening statements, I know that, you spoke about three industry verticals, and you all brought and talked about some of the practices there. But I would just say that it somehow felt very generic, the examples, and it would have been great to get a little more clarity on which practice you believe as a team would have enhanced which area of DEI. Because otherwise, we all just have this notion that, and I think that's something many organizations struggle with as well. They don't have clarity. I'm talking about the organizations in the marketplace today. They don't necessarily demonstrate that clarity in uh, uh, what what measures will enhance diversity, what measures will enhance an inclusive culture, and what measures enhance a sense of belonging. So it's very important. There was a reason why these three were called out separately. But anyway, having said that, I love the confidence. I love the research that you all did. I love the conviction with which you all spoke. So kudos on all of that. But just constantly remind yourself, is this what we are being asked? And is this what was, the key focus? But thank you so much for making the time. We feel honored that you participated, and it was a pleasure listening to all of you. Back to you, LV.
Thank you so much, Amita, Mehul, and team Xavier. Wonderful presentation. And yes, now it's time to hear it from our juries. So over to you for a general feedback, Mehul and Amita.
Thank you, Jayashree. Actually, I think between Mehul and I were all the teams listening into all the comments?
Yes, the teams
Okay.
were. Yeah.
That's great, because see, in conclusion, all I'm going to say is kudos on the participation, kudos on the confidence that you all demonstrated, and I think that that itself is a huge step forward. I think many of you sort of nailed it in terms of the certain aspects that you all were asked to speak, to research on, or come up with innovative ideas, or make suggestions and make recommendations. Only a couple of places I would say, like I've just finished saying, keep reminding yourself and keep going back to the problem statement, or keep going back to the goal, the objective of the presentation. That's only that. Those are some of the comments I have, overarching comments for enhancing your work around DEI.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amita. And yes, a few words from Mehul, please.
Sure, thank you so much. So I think, it gives me a lot of energy today for being part of these conversation. It feels so nice, to really hear from these young, students thinking about, DEI already, doing that kind of research, which gives me the confidence that, uh, we have gone to that extent where people are thinking early about DEI. They're already making themselves aware. I think kudos to all the teams for doing that in-depth research around all these concepts, reading so many articles around understanding about each of these pillars. I think the last presentation we got to know about, they also try to understand what companies are doing. They already know that how this is helping in the organization. And I think this is one problem statement that maybe we all are dealing with when we are working with organizations, to really make them understand that how at the end of the day this is going to have a business impact, which our students are already able to bring that as part of the presentation. So I think a really positive affirmation from here, from the discussions, from all that we have heard, that this is going on a successful, kind of a path with the awareness percolation that we are now looking at, from the starting, like, from the educational institutes perspective. And I'm sure if we are able to implement, some of it in our educational setup, I'm sure the journey will begin, very early, in the entire path. And I think we shared, some of our inputs during each individual presentation. I think I'll agree with what Amita was saying. My one message, to the entire team here would be that you did a great, you did really very, very great in terms of really putting up, coming here, showing that kind of confidence, bringing up, your thoughts, sharing your thoughts, whatever that you read, you learned, you were able to share your point of view, your experience, here with this group, which is commendable. The only thing that you should always be looking at is understand the problem statement. Go deep into the problem statement first before you start working on, really solutionizing it. So I felt that some of the groups just jumped into the solution, part of it, where maybe they lost track of, what is being really asked, in that problem statement. I think that's a quick recommendation that I would have. But I'm really happy this diversity Mahotsav. I think it's happening, from 2nd of December, and we are concluding it, tomorrow. But then it has been a wonderful experience to hear around, a lot of speakers coming in, people sharing their personal stories, people discussing about what's happening in the industry. And I think this was an icing on the cake to really hear about, students coming in from the educational institute. So thank you so much for having me here. It was a wonderful, experience to be listening to our young budding professionals, who would be getting into the corporates and would be building our diverse equity and, inclusive culture there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mehul and Amita, for joining us today and sharing your valuable thoughts and the recommendations. And also thank you all, the teams I'm talking about. Thank you all for the power-packed, presentation. It is always important to, recognize and appreciate the incredible effort and the commitments actually exhibited. So on that note, a big shout out to each one of you team. And also their involvement speaks volumes about their awareness, commitment, and potential to drive positive change in the world. So best wishes to make it actionable. Thank you once again, Amita and Mehul. So with that, we have completed day 14 of our, December month celebration. That is like Diversity Mahotsav. Thanks for such a wonderful, participation. You all have been an amazing audience. Yes, and tomorrow we have another exciting, a session with interesting sections. It will be like, we have the winners announcement by Uma Shankar Kandaswamy, co-founder, Senior Vice President and Sales and Relationship, Avatar Group. We have fireside chat with Sundari Subbu, author, communications professional, inclusion advocate, internal corporate communications at R.R. Donnelly, and Dr. Nandini Murali, the VP, Learning and Research at Avatar Groups, and also a surprise element which will be revealed by Karthik Egamaram tomorrow, the co-founder, head of solutions, Avatar Group. So yes, participants, stay tuned for the sessions here tomorrow at 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Our social media hashtags are hashtag Diversity Mahotsav and and hashtag Celebrating Diversity. Do post your experience at Diversity Mahotsav on your SM handles with this hashtags. So on behalf of Team Avatar, I take this opportunity to thank each one of you and welcome you all for the closing day of Diversity Mahotsav tomorrow between 4 to 5 p.m. Also, please visit www.myavatar.com to explore various opportunities and activities that celebrates diversity. If you have not registered at myavatar.com yet, please do log into it and you can register now. Browse through to find different jobs that might suit your skill sets, read articles of your interest, upskill yourself through various webinars conducted exclusively for you. And now, once again, we would like to thank our partners, Innovation Catalyst, EPAM Systems, supporting partners CRISIL, Genesis, Viaplus by Vinci Highways, and Zuki Systems. As we draw close to the day, I want to request you all to take a couple of minutes and provide your feedback on today's session. So, team, requesting you to bring up the poll, please. So as you're all filling up the feedback forms, once again, thank you so much for the wonderful juries, and thank you so much all the teams. You all did a great, performance and presentation. So with that note, once again, thank you all for joining. Signing off today is Jayashree Jayaraman. Take care and stay safe. Thank you all. Have a great evening.